Welcome to the show. This is Big Reptile Talk. I'm Derek, and we got Mr. Markus Jayne in the building. I know you don't like the term, but whether he wants to hear it or not, he is a living legend doing some amazing stuff with ball pythons. Wanted to get you on here, man. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
That's,
Yeah.
that's what's up. That's what's up. So I wanted to get you in here just because, like I said, I like your Instagram page. I love what you're doing with the ball pythons, and you've been breeding since 2000. What's been your favorite part of breeding?
Oh boy, my favorite part of breeding was is seeing the outcome. Where you have a vision and you combine different genes, hoping to produce something spectacular, and you achieve that goal. Things are hatching that I would have never 20 years ago thought would hatch. I'm seeing things not here, not just here, but so many breeders producing animals that are far beyond my wildest imagination back then.
Right
hmm
now. What? Why ball pythons? What drew you to ball pythons specifically?
Well, it's interesting because I was approached by my daughter and she wanted a pet reptile, and I thought she was crazy. And I said, what about a hamster? Like the other kids have a hamster. And no, she wanted a reptile. So I went to a local pet store and I asked them, what would be a good reptile? My daughter wants a reptile for some reason. What would be a good one? I gotta let my dog out here.
Hey, take your
Um,
time.
yeah, she just came in for a visit. Anyway, that you can see her in the background there. Anyway, they said a ball python is the perfect uh, snake to own. So I started doing my research and started looking for them, and they were very, very difficult to find. And I eventually, I called a bunch of places in the States, and obviously nobody wanted to ship me normal ball pythons to Canada from the United States. And then I started seeing some of the prices on some of the morphs, and there weren't a lot of morphs then. And so I got thinking to myself, with Steve Irwin on the air, the crocodile hunter, that's a whole new um, part of, I grew up watching people owning dogs and cats, all the family shows, nobody ever owned a reptile. But Steve Irwin introduced reptiles to the world and made them cool. So I thought, wow, let's get a couple. And we eventually did find some, bought them, and we were mesmerized by them, just by their gentle nature, how they move through your hands. They have beautiful round eyes. I always said they looked like little brontosauruses without legs, because they would come up, with their head and look around. And I was captivated. Both me and my wife were captivated by them. And, next thing you know, two led to four, four led to eight, and away we go. And I haven't regretted one step in my journey.
Right. Ball. You know something? What I told my wife was ball pythons are like Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop.
Yeah, and they're the golden retriever of reptiles. They really are. They just have a great nature to them. And that was one thing, just the nature of them. But then, the morphs started coming out and different, we started seeing different things. When I was, getting into it, there weren't a lot of morphs, and we didn't have a lot to work with, but they were still spectacular.
I apologize. Give me. I'm on the phone. Give me 1 second. I apologize.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. You guys still hear me? Somebody in the chat, let me know if you can still hear me. Hey, Dave, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I'll just talk to you guys. All right, cool. So what's up with you guys? What are you up to tonight? Tell me where I'm from. I'm from Sydney, Australia. Very close. Yeah. I moved to Canada in 1962.
I apologize. I
No
apologize about
worries.
work and they didn't know I was on break. I apologize. Um, but I wanted to get back into it now with you being one of the breeders in the hobby. What do you think about breeding? Do you think that it's evolved for the better? How was it then versus it is now?
Well, I think that we know a lot more about it because back then we were just still feeling our way through it, and now we've gotten down to a science, and I think the care has gotten better. As far as the racking systems, because Freedom Breeder was around, but ARS was not around. There were a lot of I mean, there's so many companies that make these professional enclosures for these snakes. So I think we've definitely evolved for the better. There's some things um, I'm not too happy about in regards to how some situations are handled. I'm not a big fan of cutting eggs prematurely. I think there needs to be more explanation. There are some people that do them that really know what they're doing, um, and that's fine. But I think there needs to be more explanation to the newbies out there, because I get emails from people panicking after they've cut eggs, and
Right.
so I would rather you know leave it to the professionals if that's what they want to do. You'll never see me do an egg cutting video. uh, I just won't. I don't think it's necessary. The animals are beautiful on their own. I think I'd rather just show you know the animals.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but that's not disrespecting those people's, people that do it. They do it for their own reasons. I just don't like seeing it done too early. You know.
I can understand. I can understand that. Now, with you being in Canada,
Hmm.
how do you prefer to make your sales? Is it more word of mouth, or do you like Morph Market? And if you do use the Morph Market, with it being so new, what are your thoughts on Morph Market?
Well,
Is it even in Canada?
well, Morph Market doesn't have a division for Canada. They consider Canada to be part of North America. So, and we are part of North America. So they don't differentiate between the countries. They do have one for South Africa and so on, where you can click on South Africa and see what's in South Africa. I'm not on Morph Market yet. I do a lot of wholesale. I have some wholesale customers that pretty much take everything I want to sell, and
Nice.
I have a website that I have recently updated. It's been a while, and I put animals on there. And when I post pictures of animals or clutches, people will just contact me and say, "Hey, this is what I'm looking for. Can you help me out?" So, but I have to say, regarding Morph Market, I think Morph Market has been probably one of the most positive sites in the industry, in probably in the 20 years. I think it's done a great job, and what it has done it has leveled out the pricing, meaning it's not all over the board now. People can go there as a reference. I do. I do plan on going on the morph market, but I wanted to make sure I could consistently ship to the United States because it's difficult shipping. It's not difficult for me to ship to the States, it's difficult to receive. So if you're in the States, you have to have U.S. Fish and Wildlife inspect the animals. You have to have it come to a port of entry. You have to pay a huge fee, to have these animals inspected and so on. And, if somebody wants one or two snakes, it makes no sense. But now there are other ways of doing it legally, obviously, through shipping companies that specialize in importing in the United States or exporting from Canada. So now that that's been established and I feel comfortable with it, I will eventually, within the next few months, be on Morph Market because I do have a lot of respect for the people that operate that site.
Right, right, right. I love that answer. Now, currently, right now, how many animals do you think you have?
4.
Four?
No, just I had
Really?
you there. Um, Boy, how many do I have? You know, in my permanent collection, I probably have 600 to 700, and during the hatching season, I can hatch out anywhere from 500 to 800. Yeah.
That collection is insane. I hear Mr. Marcus ain't playing no games. Now, with you being having so much knowledge, I want you to give me some beginner breeder advice for the new breeders out there wanting to get into the breeding part of the hobby.
Um. Well, what I always say is grow into business, don't go into business. So many people, they are in too much of a rush. They want to buy those adult females. They want to, buy the breeder male. They want clutches right away. They don't want to, and you're missing the most important part of the journey, and that is getting to know your snakes, raising your snakes, seeing how they develop, seeing how they, change color and whatever, how they mature. And I always use the analogy of, if there's a mountain and you want to get to the top, there's two ways to get up there. One is to climb the mountain and go through the valleys and go through the swamp and go through the forest and go up the jagged, rocky, you know, steep hills and get your scrapes and your bruises, whatever. Or you could just hire a helicopter and it'll take you to the top. Well, the guy that made the journey is going to learn a lot more. He's also going to have a greater appreciation for achieving their goals.
Right.
And so, that's what makes it so fun. Is every step of breeding ball pythons, and there are many, many steps, all have their rewards. It's just not being on the top of the mountain. There's many great views along the way. A lot of great lessons along the way. And you pick up knowledge. You pick up the right route to take, or maybe you would take a different route the next time, And it's so I think, just having patience, passion, perseverance, the 3 Ps. That's what you should do. And I always tell people, if you're going to start, buy hatchlings. Buy hatchlings and grow them up. And because sometimes you'll buy, big adult breeder females and you get them to your place and you think you're all set up perfect. and they'll go off food, and they won't eat for months, and you're going to be stressed out, and you don't need that stress in your life. Eliminate that stress. You buy a good eating baby, and I guarantee you, over a 10-year period, if all you did was buy adults, or you bought babies and raised them up, every year, and you kept some back and raised them up, you have better production in the long run. And your knowledge would be tenfold, 100 times what you would learn by just getting in that helicopter and being dropped off at the top of that mountain.
I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. Now, you have so much knowledge when it comes to ball pythons. I'm curious, are you self-taught or did you have a mentor?
I had a lot of people along the way that I was friends with that I would get, some advice from. But, Greg Graziani, do you know who Greg Graziani is?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, legend is, Greg Graziani was one of the originals. I mean, Greg Graziani produced the very first pastels. At that point, they were called pastel jungles. Greg Graziani produced the first cinnamons and pewters, and it's a shame that people are today don't know who he is, because he contributed a lot, but he was a great friend. But back then, there wasn't a lot of information being shared on the internet. People were kind of keeping information to themselves, and that's why when I launched my first website, I made a breeding page, which was a breeding pictorial page, which showed every step of the process, because I felt that a knowledgeable, well-informed community is a strong community. And if we're capable of breeding successfully and also caring for these animals so that they're healthy, that is only a big advantage for all of us. And if you have people that are frustrated, you're going to have people leaving the hobby with a sour taste in their mouth. So my attitude was, as I observed things like the glow before they go, the build, so many the prelay sheds and the timing and this, and I wanted to share that information, and I'm glad that I did.
Right. Now, I gotta ask you this, I gotta put you in the hot seat. With you being one of the best breeders I've seen, I gotta ask you, who are some of your
Kansas
current
City
favorite
Chiefs.
breeders?
Kansas City Chiefs. They're the best football team. The Kansas City Chiefs. That's my answer.
See, you're a smart man because I'm from Kansas City, so you're smart. That's why I got you on the podcast, because you like the Chiefs.
Yeah. I watched one of your videos, and you had a really cool opening with the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought it was very good. Very good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now,
Yeah.
like I said, I got to put you in the hot seat.
All right.
With you being one of the best breeders I've seen,
Mm.
who are some of your favorite breeders in the hobby right now today?
Well, that's not a hot seat at all. I mean, in no particular order. People that I really admire: Justin Kabilka right off the bat, Ozzie Boyd's. Miguel has done an amazing job. He came at it from a different point of view, but he's done wonders, for the hobby. As far as breaking out of that first bubble of people that are just reptile people, he's selling reptiles to basketball players and celebrities, and that can only help the industry. Levance Wells, he produces some amazing stuff. Will Morose. I mentored Will Morose when he first got started, and he produces amazing animals. Corey Woods up here in Canada. I mean, it just Gavin Atkins from the UK, what he's contributed as far as knowledge and sharing knowledge and the way he does it. He's such a gentleman. You just can't help but admire people like that. So, I mean, I certainly hope I don't, miss anybody. But you got to today. Those are the todays. But when you look at some of the people like Brian Barczak, Kevin McCurley, Pete Call, Ralph Davis, the Sutherlands from the Snake Keeper. I mean, the list goes on and on. But I got to tell you, I go on Instagram. I see some absolutely outstanding morphs being hatched out by people that I think that they're fairly new to the hobby, and they inspire me as well. They really do. Marco Morphy from over in the Netherlands. I mean, what he does with the Desert Ghost game is incredible. It's the one thing that there is not a lack of in this industry is inspiration. You just look in any direction, you'll find it.
I agree with you. All those people that you named are just amazing people in the hobby, especially Boss to You. I really love what he's doing. Now, I want to give you some numbers, man, because I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me how you feel about these numbers.
Okay.
25,000 and then almost 18,000. Do you know why I'm telling you them numbers?
25,000 and 18,000?
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you're telling me those numbers?
I'm telling you them.
Is that somebody sell those snakes for that? You sold 2 snakes today, one for 25,000, one for 18,000. All right.
I wish I did.
Oh
then I wouldn't
no,
be at
that's
work
what
today.
you're offering me. What?
I said I wish I did sell some snakes for that much, but
yeah.
You know what I'm gonna tell you something. 25,000 is how many subscribers you got on Instagram and almost 18,000 followers on Facebook. How does that make you feel knowing that almost a combined 50,000 people want to see what you got going on?
Well, it makes me feel good because I have a lot of fun, especially with Instagram. It's a really good group of people, and it's all purely organic. I've never purchased a like. I've never done anything gimmicky to get likes. I've never really asked anybody to subscribe or follow. So I'm really proud of that number. I'm just below 25,000 on Instagram. So if you're watching, please go there now. Follow me.
Everybody in the chat, make sure y'all
that
go
was
get
my
Markus
shameless plug. That was my no. You know what? We have a lot of fun. I find Instagram very positive, and we joke around, with some posts and that. But the other thing I started this year was the Keeping It Real series, where I just do 1-minute videos of certain situations that arise during the breeding season that I think to myself, boy, if I was new and I saw this, I'd be shitting my pants right now. Right. So I don't want people to get stressed. So I kind of bring things up and explain it to them and kind of talk people, off the ledge. And so that when they encounter it, they go, oh yeah, I remember, Mark talking about this, and this is normal. So, yeah, I really am proud of that number, and I hope to get more, because the information I'm sharing, I honestly feel is very valuable to a lot of people, and I'm not asking for anything in return. I just want, getting back again, an informed community, an educated community is a healthy and strong community. So
I love that answer, man. Icon. I can't even call this show Big Reptile Talk anymore. I got to call this Icon Talk. This is Icon talking right now, man. Y'all make sure y'all go follow him now.
I'll go
I
get
want to
you
tell
my
you the
wife. She's an icon, you know.
I love it. I love it. Now, I love the one of my favorite snakes that you've made was
Hmm.
the White Walker, and it's because I'm a Game
Yeah.
of Thrones fan. I love that, man. What made you
Yes.
think of that?
Well, the snake was a complete fluke, and I've never been able to reproduce him. And I actually just recently sold him to a gentleman in California who has an identical snake to him, and he's hoping that he can reproduce him. But I mean, I was a huge Game of Thrones fan, and when I saw the snake change to that color, because that snake was a normal color. It was yellow. It was a spider. Um, what was it? A pastel pastel butter, super pastel butter, Anchi spider, I think. So it had those, and then one day it changed, kind of like the White Walker. And the White Walker it was those colors. And I'm not a big fan of attaching morph names unless it's a special situation. And the White Walker was one. The lightning piebald was another one. The blade, I did not produce the first blades. That was Brian Barczyk, but it never had a name. And so I decided to start calling it the blade, and it stuck. So I think, it's fun coming up with names, but um, somebody sent me a text the other day, and they said, "What?" They saw a picture, and they said, "What is that animal?" And I said, "It's an Alfonso di credenza." He goes, "Oh, wow." And I don't know what the hell that means, but it just sounded good. But it was just, you know, um, I was having fun with it. But it's like that Toyota commercial. I got it from that Toyota commercial. I don't know if you remember, years ago, Toyota came out with I think it was a Corolla or something like that, and it was parked on the side of the road. And, the guy was getting out of the car, and somebody walked up and said, "Wow, nice. What is that?" And he said, "Oh, it's a Toyota." And they went, "Really?" And they walked away. And then another person did the same thing. "Oh, it's a Toyota." And he said, "Really?" And they walked away. So the third person came along, and he said, "What is that?" He says, "It's an Alfonso di Credenza." And they went, "Wow, nice." So the name can really add something to, make it sound more flamboyant.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, now with you being a breeder, I'm curious, would you recommend someone if someone wanted to breed full time, would you recommend it, or would you tell them to kind of just take it slow and then work your way up to being full time?
Oh, absolutely. Take it slow. Again, getting back to my statement, grow into business, don't go into business. When I got into it, I was still working full time. But I really wanted to go full time into the snakes. But, when I was producing and selling stuff, I was reinvesting. So it wasn't like I had money that I could live off of, that, you know, would support, you know, all my bills. So when I got to a certain stage where I just, I didn't like my job anymore, and I was, on the verge of having a really, really good season, I finally said, enough's enough. Because what it boiled down to was, had I stayed and made money there, had I done the snakes, it would have put me in a tax bracket that I would have been paying a lot of tax. By eliminating my full-time job, I was in a lower tax bracket because I also had expenses to write off, and so it made financial sense as well. And I mean, when I quit, um, I think it was in August or something like that. In the next 2 weeks, I made more in income than I did an entire year for the job I was working for. But that was, I'd only been doing it 3 years at the time. But like I said, I kept on, and snakes were selling for a lot back then. I mean, I was selling Mojaves for 11,000 US a piece, and yeah, oh shit, yeah. I mean, crazy, crazy
That's
stuff.
crazy money.
Yeah, for a Mojave, right? But they were just out, and the snake keeper had just, proven that it produced a white snake, and back then the white snake was the holy grail. That's what everybody wanted, was the white snake. And a lot of people spent a lot of money on white snakes, you know.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
with the way the market is now, do you still think that
Yes.
it's a lot of good money to make, or do you think it's kind of saturated because so many people is wanting to get into the breeder game?
No, I think there's still so much to be done. When I first got into it, I was told it was done. 21 years ago, they said the ball python industry was finished. Um, you know, and I was watching a bit of your interview with Justin, and Justin, is probably the most successful person in the hobby that just breeds ball pythons. There's other people that do incredibly well, Mark and Kim Bell and whatever. But um, we've only, like, if you were to walk down any city today and everybody, first 100 people you encountered, and you said to them, have you ever seen a ball python, or do you know what um, a dreamsicle ball python is? 99.9% would not know. So that just shows you how far, even if we got to 5% of the world's population, there's no way we could supply ball pythons. And the thing is, there's a lot of people buying now that have no intention of breeding. They're just buying because they're that beautiful. And they really are that beautiful now. And more consistently, where ball pythons were a snake that did not get better with age. They were not the wine of the snake industry. They look great as babies, but they didn't look good as adults. That's changed. We now have genes that contribute to making these things better than when they were babies. Like the Orange Dream. I'm a big fan of the Orange Dream. It does that. Whenever I look at a snake and go, holy smoke, this thing's off the charts. I don't know if you saw my Instagram, that hypo super orange dream calico fire. Um, I mean, it's ridiculous how nice that snake is. And I've only
Right.
ever produced two of them, right? It's not like the biggest misconception is that a lot of these people are producing dozens and dozens and dozens of these beautiful morphs. No, just because you see one on Instagram doesn't mean that might be the only one they produce that year, right? So it's art. It's art. It truly is art. And I'm really happy that these snakes are selling, for what they're really truly worth. And when you have basketball players and Ozzy Osbourne buying his son snakes and stuff like that, we're starting to crack you know we're starting to crack that wall and getting out there where people go, hell yeah, have you seen this? They're amazing, right?
That right
Yeah.
now, I gotta ask you this, and I'm gonna see how partial you can be.
Okay.
Now this is a hot seat. Now this is a hot seat question.
A hot
Do
seat
you
question.
feel? Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And you got to be impartial though. Do you feel like the ball python is the better beginner snake over the corn snake, and why?
Yes, I do. And the reason I do is because that's what I breed. No, corn snakes are great, but they're whippy little buggers. I mean, they're a ball python. You can take it and hold it in your hand and go, check this out. I mean, look,
Right.
look, look how beautiful that is. Corn snake is like gone. I just and they're they've got some substance to them. They got some girth to them. They're they're a big snake, but a small snake. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So I think they're the perfect snake, and that's why like, I don't know. Are corn snakes more popular than ball pythons? I don't really know. I don't follow them. And don't get me wrong, there are some absolutely stunning corn snakes out there, but they're
Right.
never gonna be a ball python.
I I love that answer, man. I just had to give you that hot seat question, and see how you felt about it. Now, with I wanted to ask you this, man. Your pictures on Instagram, they're gorgeous of the snakes you breed. They're gorgeous, and I
Hmm.
was wondering, do you ever get that problem of scammers stealing your pictures and acting like they've produced your snakes? And if so, how do you deal with the scammers of the hobby?
Oh, that's easy. So, I don't believe in putting watermarks up and stuff like that. Scammers are scammers. Um, but the reason they're scammers in the first place is because they're stupid people. And they're not, the sharpest tools in the shed. And because you can only scam for so long. And I actually had a scammer try to sell me my snakes once. Okay, with my logo attached to the photograph, okay, in the corner. And somebody brought it to my attention. And he said, hey, there's some guy trying to sell your snakes to me. And I said, oh, well, give me his email address. So I contacted him and I said, hey, I understand you sell ball pythons. Do you have any ball pythons? He said, yes, I do. I said, can you send me some pictures? Well, sure enough, he sent me my pictures that I took with my logo on them. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. How big is this snake? He said, this snake is 6,000 grams and is 11 inches long. Think about that. Okay. 6,000 grams, 11 inches long. And like I said, not the sharpest tools in the shed. And so I said, wow, I'm really interested in these snakes. I'd like to buy them. Can you give me a good price? Yeah, yeah, I'll give you. It gave me a good price. I said, how do you want to be paid? He said, Western Union. I said, not a problem. So I found a fake Western. I just made up a Western Union number, and I sent him this Western Union number. So he goes to Western Union to try and get the money, and it's a fake number. So he comes back and sends me another thing. He says, something's wrong. The number wasn't good. I said, well, give me the number again. He gave me, oh, I said, I was off. It was supposed to be a 5, not a 4. And so he goes and does it again. Fake number, and I had him going for about a week, right? And he was getting very, very frustrated with me. And I would do, look, I'll get back to you. I've got something to do. I'll get back to you tomorrow for sure. I'll go do it again. So then eventually I just said to him, I said, have you ever seen a really, really stupid person? And he said, why do you ask? I said, well, just go into your washroom and look in the mirror and you'll be looking at one. I said, those are my snakes. And you're trying to sell me my snakes. And his response was, thank you. That was it. Never heard from him again. But then what I did is I wasn't done. Okay. I wasn't done. So if anybody's going to take the piss out of anybody and run them in circles, it's my friends over in the UK. So Scott Wilkinson was running a ball python forum out there, and I put this guy's information out on the ball python forum, and I said to everybody, I said, just have at him. So everybody inquired about snakes from this guy, and they were doing the exact same thing. So he was running back and forth with fake numbers and never getting his. And yeah, I don't know what happened, but I'm sure he eventually just gave up, because everybody had his number. Yeah, I don't like thieves and liars.
That is hilarious. I'm glad I wrote that question down. Now, I know you love the ball pythons, but and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying money is an option, but if you could have any species of reptile, any kind, if you had the space, the room, and money wasn't an option, what animal would you get?
Well, I had an albino alligator. I was one of the group. There was a group of us: Greg Ronziani, Michael Cole, myself, Sean Heflick. We bought a group of, I think, 5 albino alligators from the park in Florida, babies, and I owned one of them. I never did get to see it. I ended up selling it like 4 years later. I never did get to go down to Florida to see it, but I had it, and I think that would have been fascinating to own.
Hmm.
Well, I did own it. It would have been just fascinating to actually see it in person. Um, there's some beautiful, beautiful boas. Some people are doing some amazing job with boas, but I've owned boas. I've been bitten by boas, and I don't like that. That hurts, and so I got out of the boas. I produced some beautiful boas, but if I could own any snake, it would be probably Justin Kabilka's collection. That's what I would own.
Hey, you're a smart man. That's a
Mm.
dope collection.
Yeah, or
Now, do
Ozzy
you ever?
Boyd's. Or Ozzy Boyd's. Like I keep on telling him, Ozzy and I are really good friends, and we talk a lot. Um, we talk, 4 or 5 times a week on the phone, believe it or not. Did you know you could actually talk to people on these things? It's amazing. Anyway, we talk a lot, and he blows my mind. He just blows my mind. Of course, I love the color orange. Spoiler alert. And some of his stuff is just crazy, crazy nice. And boy, there's a guy that had a lot of vision and stick to itness, and
Yeah, of course. Shout
was
out to
doing
Ozzy
it.
Boys, man.
Oh
Of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
shout out to Ozzy Boys. I had him on the show. He's a definitely a good breeder to talk to. A lot of information if you want to
oh
talk to
yeah,
him.
yeah.
Now, do you ever see yourself getting into the venomous part of the hobby?
Never. No. 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 No.
Said you
No.
ain't fooling with no rattlesnakes.
Did I say no? No.
He said no. He said
No.
no, not no, but hell no.
Hell no. 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 I had some hog nose. That's as close as I got to rear fanged, Um, beautiful snakes. Beautiful. but
Right.
no, look, I don't skydive. I don't, cliff jump. I don't, dirt bike, do stunts and stuff like. I don't do. I won't even go in a hot air balloon. Okay, like merry-go-round is pushing me. All right, so I don't do anything that could kill me.
Right.
I just don't want to do it. I'm not looking for a thrill. I'm a sensible guy that loves my family and my wife and my dogs, and I want to be around for a long time. I don't want to
Right.
make
Right. Right.
any,
That
you
makes
know,
sense.
and I can be quite accident prone. Not last year, but the year before, I broke my back in 3 places by flipping a tractor. Being careless, and so I'm good now, healed fast, but
Right.
I was this close to being either dead or paralyzed.
Right.
So no, yeah,
Well, I don't keep people too long. I normally go about 30, 45 minutes. I got one more question for you, and this is something
yeah. Take your time.
that I ask everybody.
Okay.
Um, with you leaving your mark on the breeding game, being so amazing with ball pythons. If they were to make the movie, the Marcus Jayne movie, the autobiography, the ball python master, if they were making that autobiography, who would play you in the movie?
Um, Stanley Tucci.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that.
Well, I've had many people say because I love to cook, and Stanley Tucci loves to cook, and he just did a great series called Finding Italy, and I love Italian food. And a lot of people said, "Holy smokes!" When I watched the show and he's cooking, it reminded me. Had I said Brad Pitt, wouldn't have been realistic. Just people wouldn't have believed that one. So Bruce Willis or Stanley Tucci.
Now, I love that answer. I can't wait to see that movie when it comes out. I think it'd be a
Yeah,
good
trust
movie.
me, it won't come out. It won't come out. It won't happen. But we can all fantasize,
Right now,
right?
with you being a in the snake hobby, do you get any time to go herping? And if so, what's some of the fun finds that you have found? And also, this is like a two-part question. What was like one of your favorite things that you found herping? And if you could herp anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Well, the only place I've really kind of herped, I don't, I have up here, you see, so I have quite elaborate garden system, so I've attract a lot of, garter snakes and different, types of snakes here. And they're very cool, but I don't necessarily go looking for them. But when I was in Costa Rica, just herping around the resort, you could find all kinds of really cool stuff. But I as a kid, I always went herping. I always looked for snakes as a kid. I remember I spent half the summers in Ohio, and I would be down there looking for snakes, and when I was up here looking for snakes. But I'm not a big herper now. I'm not that guy that goes
Kind of
out
busy.
herp. Well, I am busy. We hike a lot. We go through nature a lot. We pretty much every day we'll go for a 1 to 2 hour hike through the woods with the dogs and stuff like that. But I'm not really looking for anything. I'm just taking in the ambiance of nature and the trees and just a feel good part of it, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Marcus, I just want to tell you that I appreciate you for coming on, man. I
I
love what you're
appreciate
doing.
you
I love
asking.
your Hey man, I had to. Your Instagram is just looking at the pictures, you're just like, wow, he's making this stuff. So again, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. I normally go about 30, 45 minutes. I keep it to a decent time. So maybe down the future you'll come back and talk to us a little more down the
Oh,
road.
I'd love to. I'd love to.
I,
You're a
you're
good
amazing, man.
interviewer. You're a good interviewer. You really are.
I'm humble and I appreciate it. This is everybody in the chat. Thank you for watching. This is a big dog in the game. Markus Jayne. Go check his Instagram out. Just what he's doing is amazing. Again, I appreciate you. Before I end my interviews, I always shout out some of the people that I'm associated with. Iron Dog Reptiles, My Animal House, Cold Blooded Monstars, Reptile Feedings, Been the Wonderful, Desert Wolves, Benjamin Payne, Ledka, Kurtwood, Ball Python Love, Hoseways, Esther, everybody, Sherry Lynn Madcat, my lady, everybody that's in our community. If I forgot anybody, I apologize, but make sure y'all go check them out. This is Big Reptile Talk. I'm honored that we got a chance to talk to Markus Jayne Ball Pythons, man. Don't go anywhere. I want to go backstage and thank you again. I'm gonna play us out, okay? Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Esther. Esther said, awesome show. She enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
And I'm going to take us out.